Okay, let's go ahead and do block number 2. So to do block number 2, there's a few different ways you can do that. One, you can come here to File and go New Design. Or what I usually do is I just come over here and click on this little plus sign. That's much like what it was in CAD. So go New Design. There's always several ways of doing everything. I usually try to show you a couple, and then there's more ways as you're using it that you'll figure out on your own. Okay, so for our new design, we're going to take a block much the same as what we did before. So we're going to come up here and go Create New Sketch, or Create Sketch. We're once again going to put it on this top plane. So I'm going to click on that top plane. And I'm going to once again make a rectangle. So I'm going to go 2-point rectangle and start it up here in this top left quadrant again and pull it down around to the bottom right quadrant. Now, purposely, I made this a little bit off-centered. Just when I first did it, actually maybe not very off-centered there. So it will actually center up the way I showed you on that last drawing. Pardon me. Next, after we have that rectangle drawn, I hit Escape to cancel out of the command. I'm going to come up here and pick Point and draw a couple points. My point, I want it to be on the midpoint of this top line right there, and the midpoint on this line on the right there. That made 2 black dots, one on the top and one on the right. I've got my points done, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Escape. From there, I want to get these centered up on my origin. To get them centered up on my origin, remember you're going to use this horizontal/vertical constraint. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on that middle dot and click on my origin, and it should slide it there to the side. Yes, it did. I'm going to click on that middle dot over here on the right, click on my origin, and it should slide it up just a tiny bit on mine. And yes, it did. I'm done with that horizontal and vertical constraining, so I'm going to hit Escape. And now I'm going to add in a dimension, or a few dimensions. So I'm going to come up here to my sketch dimension. I'm going to dimension the width of my block from this line on the left to the line on the right, and pull the dimension up and above. On this block, I'm going to make it 2.5 inches wide, 2.5, and that's great. Notice my outside 2 lines turned black. Next, I'm going to dimension from my top line down to my bottom line, and click it out over here on the side, and I'm going to make it 3. All right, that was really quick. We're 2 minutes in, and this block is done. It's 2.5 by 3 inches wide. It's all fully constrained. It's all black. We like that. We're going to go Finish Sketch. And notice it put it in that automatic isometric view for me. If yours did not, remember, hold that middle mouse button and your Shift key, and you can rotate that around to an isometric view of some sort. All right, next, we're going to come up here to the second thing over on the top bar, which is Extrude. So click on Extrude. It automatically recognizes that. Remember, if it does not, you just click inside of there. Now remember on this, you can pull it either direction, but we really don't worry about that too much. We come over here to the side, and we're going to change this from one direction to symmetric. That keeps it centered up on my origin. Again, here at the beginning, not super important, but later we're going to start using that some. So we're going to go whole length, and I'm going to make this thing at 0.75. Whole length of 0.75, and go OK. If you've done it correctly, your block should look like the same proportions as mine. If, again, as I said the last time, if it looks like it's too thick, come down here and modify or double check your extrusion. Make sure you extruded it properly. If it looks like it's the wrong shape in the other one, come down here and double check your sketch by double clicking on it, and make sure you have it 2.5 by 3, 2.5 by 3. If it looks like this, great. You got it. You're done. We're ready to save this already. So go up there to the File and Save. Make sure it's saving it in the same folder as what you did last time. Yours should be that default folder of my something project. I again don't remember what yours was called. Mine's called My First Project, but you should save yours to that whatever folder that's the same folder. We're going to simply name this Block 2 and save. All right, Block 2 is done. Now, what we're going to do is this next part, it's a little bit more difficult, for me at least right now, to do in Fusion than what it is in an Inventor. But again, as I told you before, I've used Inventor for 20 years. I've used this for a semester. So to me, it's a little bit more cumbersome to do it here in Fusion, but I'm still learning the little tips and tricks and things to make it easier. So maybe in 20 years, I'll think it's just as nice in Fusion, or I'll like it better. But we're still working our way through this. So In Inventor, you would have just created a new type of drawing that's called an assembly. In Fusion, it's all the same. So we're just going to come over here and click on the little plus sign and just create a new design. The new design, the first thing you have to do is you have to save your new design or you can't do anything to it. So we're going to go up to the save, and we're going to save this, again, in the same folders you've been saving everything else to, where block 1 and block 2 is. And we're going to name this block 1 and 2, oops, not NAD, and 2 assembly. Block 1 and 2 assembly. And go save. So now we're ready to do something with this. To do something with this is we're going to come over here, and there's different ways of doing this, but I think this way is really easy. We're going to come over here to the little waffle. I hope you know what I mean by when I say waffle. You should have heard that. I've heard that a lot. You can see that little same thing on Google Docs. So we're going to click on that thing there. Brings it up. Now here, yours is going to be a little bit differently. Mine opened up automatically. Actually, mine opened up to my CAD 1 and 2 folder. I don't want my CAD 1 and 2 folder. I want to change the folder. So I'm going to go back here to the home. And I'm going to look through here. Mine, I saved under demo project. Yours, my first project here. Again, yours is my something project. I think is where yours is saved. You just have to look through this list and find your right place. Mine is the demo project. So I'm going to go into there. And there I see my block 1 and 2 and my assembly. So my thing I want to do here is I want to click and hold on this block. Right on the picture. I believe you can do it over here too. But I just click on the picture. Click and hold on it. Drag that over here to the screen and let it go. Yeah, I think we're fine there. We're going to put that in. All right. So there we go. I put that block in, and I'm going to go, well, before I go, okay. On this, the first thing, when you plop it in there, you have these little arrows up here. If I click this one, I can move it side to side. I click this one, I can move it up and down. If I click here, I can rotate it in this axis or this axis or this axis. I don't want to do any of those things right now, but I just want you to see that you can do that. I just want to accept this where it is and go OK. All right. So that block 1 is in place. Now I'm going to do the same thing and pull block 2 over into place. I'm going to click and hold, pull block 2 over there. Again, I'm going to go proceed. Just mine's coming up with a little bit different message than what yours guys will. So there's my block. This time I put it right on top of the other block, right in the center of my screen. I don't want it right on top of it. So this time I am going to use these arrows. I'm going to grab this arrow and I'm going to slide it off to the side just a little bit. And I'm going to go OK. So now I can put this into place and get it locked in there to my other block. Again, this was always called before where we constrained our sketches. In Inventor, this was called constraints. Here in Fusion, they call this a little bit different, and it works a little bit differently. Again, the jury's still out for me whether I like it or not, but I'm working my way through it. So to get these blocks together, we are going to come up here where it says Assembly. I'm going to click on that down arrow for Assembly, and I'm going to create a joint. So I'm going to click on Joint. Now when this joint thing comes up, if I hover over different parts, you see it highlights different things. What I want to do is I want to spin around to the bottom side of this block. So I'm going to hold my Shift key and rotate it around. And I'm going to click on the bottom of that block right there. So now I'm going to join the bottom of that block, and I'm going to rotate it back around. I'm going to join it to this little slot here. I'm going to click. And I'm going to go OK. So there I joined that in there. But now I want to look at this design a little bit. Look at this block. When I hover over this, all right. So how do you feel how that block fits in there? Do you think it fits well? Well, I don't think it fits so well. Whoever designed this block, man, they really messed it up, and it doesn't fit. So since that block doesn't fit, we need to edit that block, or edit one of those blocks. Now, with the design, what I'll say is, all right, this block 1, it is correct, but this block 2 has some dimension issues with it. So I need to go into that block 2. So I'm going to go up here and above to block 2. So I'm going to click on it. And then look at my block 2. And first, I guess I go back here to this assembly. I got to remember the width of this slot. And there's another way of doing that I'll show you next. But right now, I'm just going to remember the width of that slot was 2. And shoot, I made block 2 2.5. So I've got to edit my block 2. So you look down here below. Where I made that block 2.5 inches wide, was that in my extrusion or was that in my sketch? Think about that for a second. It was actually in my sketch. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. We're going to double click on my sketch. It'll open my sketch back up. I'm going to come up here and above. And I'm going to double click there. I'm going to change that sketch to 2 inches wide. And I click on Finish Sketch. And it changes my block to it. Now, there's a little step here that you've got to do. And I think, to me, this seems a little bit silly. In Inventor, there was just an update button. Here, there's not. You've got to save it again. So just come up above. You can click on your little disk here to go save. Or you can go File, Save, whichever. But save it here. Go OK. And now that block is saved. Now when I go back to my assembly, and this is not linked properly. 1 second, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so that little message mine was giving me was they weren't in the right folder, so I had to edit some things. Yours should have been just right because yours would have been in the right folder. So now when I come back to this, this is what I should have seen before, and this is what you should see. When I come back to this, there's a little exclamation point here on my block 2. And let's click on that. It says, this component is out of date. To update, get latest version in the Design Workplace. Okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to modify this block. The easiest way I've found to do that is just right-click on that little exclamation point right there. Come down below and get latest version. So exclamation point, right-click, come down to get latest version, click on it, and a little bit of magic will work. And right there, notice, that's beautiful. This is now the exact right width. It fits in there just perfectly. So now that block is in there. It fits great. And that's what we want. We want that block to fit in there great. Okay, so now what I want you to do next is this block still doesn't fit in the other 2 directions. It's too long. It's too long there. It needs to be changed in the length. It's extruded too thick. It sticks up here and above. I want you to fix those 2 things and make those correct. I don't want to show you how to do that. I will show you just on the next little tiny portion of the video what it looks like once it's done, but then I want you to see what it looks like. I want you to pause the video and then try to do it on your own and try to figure it out. Try to muddle your way through this a little bit. So this is what I want your block to look like when you're done. I want this block to fit perfectly in the length, perfectly in the height, so it just makes one nice rectangular solid there, made up of these 2 separate parts. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go back obviously to part 1. Go back to part 2 and modify the sketch, possibly modify the extrusion. I don't know. You're going to have to figure that out. Now, one thing I will help you with is this. If you don't remember how tall this is supposed to be, you have this cool little tool right up here. It's called Inspect. It looks like a little ruler. So if you don't remember how tall this is supposed to be here, click on that line and see, that's supposed to be a 1/2 inch tall. So I need to change something to where it's a 1/2 inch thick. I'm not going to say what, but I need to change something. Now I'm going to click on this line here. Oh, well, I need to restart it over. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to click on this line here to see how deep this is in this direction. That's 2 inches long. So I need to make that block 2 inches long, and I need to make this measurement a 1/2 inch to make this fit in there properly. Now, again, what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video here, try to do that and work your way through it, and then come back and I'll show you how to do that after this. So pause your video now. Okay, so if you got that done, just watch this for a little bit of a recap on how to do it. If you didn't get it done, you're just going to have to watch here how you do it. So you're going to go back to your block 2. Again, I need this to be 2 inches, this to be a 1/2 inch. Well, when you look at this drawing, I need this measurement here to be 2 inches. Is that in the sketch or is that in the extrusion? I need to change that. Sketch or extrusion? Sketch. It's actually in the sketch. So I'm going to change my sketch, and I'm going to come to this 3-inch measurement. I'm going to change that to 2. And just finish my sketch. It's as simple as that. So now that's 2 inches there. Now next, this block is currently 0.75 thick. I need to change it to 0.5 thick. To do that, I'm going to come down here to my extrude, double click on it, change my extrusion to 0.5, and go OK. And that changed that to 0.5 thick. That's great. Now again, the step that you may have forgot about, you've got to save this. So save it. Go OK. Go back to my assembly. Well, and mine's outdated here. Let me go. Well, this is kind of weird. Mine looks like this because I already updated it before. Yours will be the wrong size there. You are going to right-click on it there, get latest version. Mine's going to look the same after I get latest version because I just changed it back to the same. And there it is, looking great, finished up. It's awesome. What I want you to do here is make sure close this out and save everything when you're done. But here, create a screenshot of this, just looking just like that, and save it to Student View. It's called Block 1 and 2 Assembly. So save that there to Student View, a little snipping of it, and you'll be great. Good luck.